Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to your fave film critic. This is your favorite film critic, Dom Griffin, me. And this is the first episode of season 2 of the podcast. So before I get into anything, if you're just listening to the pod, you probably won't have very much of a different experience, I guess. This is going to sound silly to say, but I'm a little bit nervous that I have not made one in a month. That I think I'm gonna forget the right way to do it or something. But hopefully it sounds normal to you guys. Because if you're watching this, it's probably gonna look not quite right. So I intended to come into season 2 with something different, a different look for the video side of the pod. That was my goal. And I was supposed to be back in action 2 weeks ago. And at the time, I was not remotely ready to make anything at all. I wasn't there. I'm not entirely there now. But I can't put this off forever, But if you're a long-time listener, you may remember that I had gone through this whole thing. There's a big floody thing in my apartment. I lost a lot of whatever. All the repairs didn't get fully done until 2 days ago. And they had to replace every square inch they had to replace every square inch of carpet in my apartment while we live here. And my apartment's actually pretty cluttery already to begin with, so it was not an ideal experience. I essentially had to pack up my apartment like I was moving. And the guys that came and did the job, they moved the stuff they basically, when this whole thing was done, my entire apartment's just a fucking disaster. Sorry. I have to get used to being on air again. But my entire apartment's just a fucking disaster zone. I just spent the last 45 minutes actually trying to piece together all the parts of my setup necessary to do this. So you can't see it, it's out of frame, but my monitor is just laying face down on my desk because I've been too tired to remount the monitor arm to my desk, and I couldn't find an Allen wrench to unhook the monitor arm and just use the stand the monitor came with. So my monitor is just laying there. But I took a TV we had in the room, and I just have my computer hooked up to this TV just so I can see my notes. It's very weird. I would otherwise I don't think ever use a TV as a monitor. It's super strange. But you may notice that the angle's not quite right, and I'm missing part of my mic arm. I don't know where it is. I'll find it. So right now my mic is on top of a Funko Pop of Western Ken from Barbie the movie, and then the pieces of wood I use to anchor my monitor arm to my desk. So it appears to be the right height to get to my face. We'll see when this is done how that turns out. Hopefully I can make it sound okay. It's been whatever. Also, I can't. There's so much stuff in here that I haven't organized yet that I can't actually angle my green screen all the way to me. So I don't right now fully trust the lighting on the green screen to make the keying work super well, and it's also just 1,000% gonna crop off my arms. This is gonna be fun, basically. So, season 2 of the pod is starting off with a fucking bang. Look, I missed you guys. I missed recording the pod. I've had a lot of people come and hit me up and be like, "Hey, we really miss the pod," and I miss it too. I also miss the pod. So, even though I honestly probably would like to take another couple of weeks off, I kind of have to be a big boy about this and just get back into it. So I don't want to make any promises, but next week, by next episode, I'll have my room back in order. But this all happened 24 hours ago, and it's been a really terrible week. And I'm still I'm still kind of fighting a health issue related to my head or my brain. I have a problem where I still just I get lightheaded and dizzy and vertigo-y very easy. I'm getting some tests done next week, but just doing certain very basic physical tasks is hard in the sense that if I have to bend over to do something, pause. Whenever I get back up, I have to like stop so I don't like fucking fall. Like I've fallen a few times. It's not fun. So like I would be further along in rearranging all my shit. But like I have to do it like in bursts so I don't pass out or fall or bonk my head, which would be bad, obviously. So yeah, really cool that my entire apartment has new carpet. That's nice. It really sucks that they just like threw my shit around haphazardly and whatever. That's the whole thing. I'm not going to get into that for the pod, but it's been very angry for the last couple of days. So, but hey, it's been like a fucking month since we talked, you know, and I miss you guys. And I feel like you probably missed me like at least a little bit, you know? So, and a lot of stuff happened this week. So I sort of felt like I kind of need to do the pod just because there's a lot of stuff to talk about. I wrote down a lot of things to talk about, and I don't know that I'm actually going to get to all of them because I don't want to make my first episode back like super crazy long. That would be fucked up. But I have some stuff to talk about, and yeah, like we're sticking to the same kind of structure that we've always done. You know what I mean? I'll talk about some stuff that's happened in the news. I will talk about what I watched. Obviously, it's been like a month, so I'm not going to tell you everything I watched for the last month, but I have a handful of things I kind of want to talk about a little bit. And then I have some questions. You guys left me some questions over the last month, so I'll answer those. And yeah, I just want to say Happy New Year, because I missed saying that to you guys. And I want to thank everyone for like their kind words, their support, all that stuff. I don't want to get mushy, but I do love that there are people that want to listen to this, and I appreciate you guys a lot. So yeah, we'll kind of get into it. So let's look at my notes on this TV, which is weird because the resolution, whatever. Okay, I'm looking at this stuff. All right. So I do want to get one kind of heavy, sad thing out of the way first, I guess. One of the major things on my list of stuff to talk about was I wanted to talk about WWE's big deal where they sold the distribution rights to Monday Night Raw, their long-running weekly live television show, to Netflix, and how this is like this crazy deal and like it's a huge thing and all this stuff and all of its media implications for the landscape of television, et cetera, et cetera. But then this morning, a bunch of like really, really foul, fucked up, vile shit came out about Vince McMahon, who technically is no longer in charge of the WWE. He no longer has creative control. He no longer is like the sole owner, et cetera, et cetera. But whatever, it's like his brainchild. We can't pretend like he's not still tethered to it. A lot of really just disgusting stuff came out about him today, and I don't want to like get into it because it can be very triggering for people. But I also can't like talk for 20 minutes about my thoughts and feelings about wrestling today. I'm not doing that. So I do kind of want to. I talk about wrestling on the pod a fair amount. I talk about wrestling. A lot of people that know me as a wrestling fan. I would feel weird like ignoring this story and pretending like it's not true or not happening or some shit like that. But yeah, some really fucked up stuff came out about this man, and it's like, whatever. It's like really disgusting. Really, really messed up stuff. And like, everyone has always known bad things about him, obviously. And there's always been, he's got so many credible allegations of awful things, but this whole story is just like so much deeper. And I don't know, the way that the court reporting is very vivid. It's a lot. And like everyone I know who watches wrestling or is a wrestling person has like talked about it today, being like, this is fucking, this is pretty dramatic. And like, obviously this is not one of those situations where it's a figure that you like really idolize or love and you find out bad things about them. This is like, we've sort of known bad things about this man for a very long time. This is not like, I don't want to say it's like it's new information, but it's not like, I don't know, like if they came out that like Bill Nye did some of this stuff, that would be a lot to process. But Bill Nye, the science guy, that's crazy. But it's Vince McMahon, he's always been a bit of a scoundrel. But just reading the stuff, it was a lot. It was very heavy today. And I've had to try to stay off of Twitter a little bit today just because the pro wrestling fandom is just like, it's the worst. I love wrestling and I mostly hate wrestling fans. And so many people are being weird and like tribalistic about it and like just using it as like, God, I don't want to get into that. It's just fucking gross and it's weird. I hate it. And it's exhausting. And it's just a lot, you know what I mean? And I guess if you go to look, I'm not going to link it, but if you look the story up and stuff like that, or you talk to anybody about it, just please keep in mind, like, it's really rough. It's very like heavy to like even process, and just be careful about the way you talk about it with people. It's the internet. People have to get their jokes off and shit like that. They got to get their engagement, rent due tweets and all that. But just remember that, like, you don't have to try to get into having takes and memes and jokes about this situation, because there are going to be people who see that shit and it's going to be really debilitating for them because of the things they've already been through in real life. And maybe just don't be a shit. Just don't. I don't know who I'm saying this to. Most of the people that I think listen to my podcast are like relatively normal. So, but yeah, I guess I just wanted to get that out of the way. Is like some super fucked up shit happened, and it's a lot. Like, I fucking made the mistake of right before recording this reading some of the like screenshots of like text messages this dude sent from this court case. And like, I've been watching professional wrestling since I was a child. So it's like, this is a person whose voice is like pretty entrenched into my brainscape and my memory. So it was just very unsettling. Like, I couldn't read them and not hear them in his voice and stuff. It was, I don't know, it was really fucking gross. And yeah, I don't want to talk about it more, but I guess I just wanted to address it. I don't know, maybe a little bit much to start the pod off with, but we got it out of the way. We don't have to talk about it anymore. But yeah, let's talk about what everyone's been talking about this week. A lot lighter topic. Let's talk about the Oscar nominations that came out on Tuesday morning. And let's talk about the fucking Barbie discourse. Let's talk about the fact that people are losing their motherfucking minds about Margot Robbie and Greta Gerwig being snubbed and not getting Oscar nominations for one of the biggest movies of the year. Except that they did get Oscar nominations for this fucking movie. Greta Gerwig is nominated for Best Adapted Screenplay, the one that she co-wrote with her now husband, Noah Baumbach, for Barbie. And Margot Robbie is nominated for Best Picture, which goes to the producers of the film because she was a producer on the movie. They're both nominated for their work on Barbie. Greta was not double nominated for Best Director, and Margot was not double nominated for Best Actress. Ryan Gosling was nominated for Ken. America Ferrera was nominated for Best Supporting Actress for whatever ungodly reason. And I'm Just Ken, like the Ken song, pretty great song, is nominated for Best Original Song. And so is, what was I made for? The Billie Eilish song, which is also in the movie. So they got double nominated Best Original Song. There's some other technical awards too. I didn't write them all down. I don't think Rodrigo Prieto is nominated for Best Cinematography, but I think he is nominated for Killers of the Flower Moon. Anyway, Barbie has 8 fucking Academy Award nominations. The movie made over $1 billion. It's like the biggest movie of the year. It's the second most nominations for a movie behind Oppenheimer. Huge, huge deal. People were admittedly surprised that Margot was not nominated for Best Actress. That's fair. But people started having fucking meltdowns over this. Like, there's a lot of very strange, sort of like white feminist leaning discourse about this movie. Someone wrote a piece in the LA Times, I think. I couldn't even finish reading it because it was just like, I was like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, I cannot fucking fathom being this mad about this. This movie, I want to remind you, made over $1 billion. It was largely critically acclaimed. It is nominated for 8 Academy Awards. And people are like third act of a Frankenstein movie, pitchfork and torches vibes about these alleged snubs. And the main argument I've seen from people is like, so this powerful female anthemic film, it makes $1 billion and it's up for Oscars. Ken gets a nomination, but not Barbie. Ken is not a real person. Ryan Gosling is a real person. He's an actor who plays Ken in the movie. Quite ably, I might add. And people are like, why was he nominated but not Margot? Like, first of all, they're not even in the same fucking category, first of all. And I think the worst thing I saw that people started making memes out of was someone had a picture of Margot and Barbie and then screenshots of the Spotify lyrics for Taylor Swift's song, The Man, which is, I'll admit, one of my favorite Taylor Swift songs. It's basically Beyonce's If I Were a Boy, but like, you know, like white. And it's a good song. It's really cool. Sidebar about that song. I don't know if you've never heard Taylor Swift's The Man. It's just her talking about how different her career would be and how different people would talk about her if everything she did was the same, but she was a man. It would be different. You know, there's a lot of double standards in the way women are treated, especially in the media. But the thing that always makes me laugh about that song is that the individual she's describing, like it's herself, but if it was a man, like if there was a man who ticked all of the Taylor Swift boxes, the theoretical imaginary man she is describing in the song is Drake. It is the rapper Drake. And she is correct that he does get treated very differently than her. But I was so mad when the song came out that no one made a music video where like drag king makeup artists made Taylor Swift look like Drake. And she just did the entire video as Drake with a little fake fade and little goatee and stuff, like the facial hair. And like, I thought that would have been great. That is a huge missed opportunity to me. And they can never, it's too late. They can't fix that, you know, but that would have been perfect. That would have been like maybe the greatest thing at the time. I would have talked about it nonstop for 6 months. But anyway, they were like, you know, it's because she's not a man. She would have, it's like, she wasn't nominated for Best Actress, which is an award that they gave 5 nominations to other women. It's not like she was, you know what I mean? Like, yes, she wasn't nominated for Best Actress, but Carey Mulligan, who was a woman, was. Lily Gladstone, who ought to win the fucking thing, was nominated for Killers of the Flower Moon. The only 2 people who ended up in the final nominees that I was surprised by were Annette Bening for Naiad, which looks like dog shit. And I love Annette Bening, man. She's really great. She's good in like everything. I have no interest in ever watching that movie. And Sandra Huller, I'm not pronouncing her name correctly, from Anatomy of a Fall, got nominated. And then similarly in the Best Director category that Greta was snubbed in, the biggest surprise nominee, other than I guess Jonathan Glazer for Zone of Interest, I just never thought I'd hear the phrase Academy Award nominee Jonathan Glazer. Like the guy that did, and he's like done so many music videos and stuff. I don't know. I never would have guessed. But Justine Triet, I never pronounced her name either. The French filmmaker who directed Anatomy of a Fall was nominated. So a woman was nominated this year. It sucks that it's only one woman, obviously. You know what I mean? No black people were nominated for Best Director this year. No Hispanic people. No Asian people. It's like 4 white dudes and Justine Triet. So like there's lots of, whenever it comes down to like demographics and representation at award shows, there's never a year where everyone is like, yeah, that's the right number. that's the correct. There's a good, that's all right. We got 2 women, a black, a this and a that. We're everything's good. No problems here. Like that's not how it works. People are always going to be frustrated that it's largely a lot of white people, largely a lot of white men. Like there's all sorts of people get frustrated about this stuff. It's normal, whatever. But I just didn't expect people to go into meltdown mode over Barbie. Like it's not like the movie was shut out. You know what I mean? It's not like this movie was like, people were just like, fuck this. It's not a real movie. It's based on a doll. Like it got a surprising number of Oscar nominations for a movie about a fucking doll. Yeah, it's about the patriarchy too and stuff. But I'm just saying, like, it's the fucking Barbie movie, you know? And I hate that a very annoying brand of person is losing it over this movie, because like I liked Barbie a lot. I really liked the movie. It's one of my favorite movies of the year. I will acknowledge that the more I rewatched it, the less I liked it. Like it's not a movie I can watch. I don't think I'm maybe ever going to watch it again. I think I made it to like a 3rd or 4th viewing. And on the last one, I was like, I still like a lot of stuff in this, but like this is diminishing returns. And that's fine. Not every movie is meant to be watched forever. But I still like it. I don't have beef with it. I don't think it sucked. Like I see a lot of people turning on this as being like, why are they complaining? That movie was trash anyway. And I'm like, I don't know about trash. I mean, there's definitely a lot of valid critiques to be made about the movie for sure. But trash, that's kind of mean. It's not very neighborly. So I don't know. But I think one of the big problems about the Academy Awards in general is that people like there to be a villain. Like, not to double back into the wrestling thing, but the award season needs a heel. Award season needs there to be someone that everyone's like, not that fucking movie, not that fucking guy, not that fucking woman. I don't want that person to win. And the last few years of the Oscars, I think I've said this in other pods or in other videos, there's not been any really effective villains. There's not been movies that everyone's like, oh my God, why are they nominating that piece of shit? Like, the Oscars have a lot of problems, but they're considerably less frustrating than like the Grammys. You know, the Grammys nominate a lot of nonsense. The Grammys almost never make sense to me. The Oscars, like, I don't want to say they get it right. They've essentially never, you know, right is subjective, but I mean, in general, they tend to nominate a fair number of quite good movies. There's always stuff that gets ignored. And sometimes something will get nominated that you're like, that over this? What the hell? For me, the only one that really, I happened to be awake when the nominations were happening live. The main thing that stuck out to me was when I saw that America Ferrera was nominated for Barbie, which is not exactly her finest performance or anything. And I saw that Penelope Cruz was not for Ferrari, which might be the best performance of her career and is one of my favorite performances of she carries that whole movie on her fucking back, you know? That sucked. But I was still like, yeah, whatever. It happens, you know? I'm pretty sure she's going to lose sleep over it. She's Penelope Cruz. But people have just been showing their ass, and it is embarrassing. I think maybe the worst thing. I feel like the peak of it, I mean, maybe by the time I upload this, it'll have gotten worse, but I think that the peak of it was Hillary Clinton tweeting about it, which is just insane. There's so many horrible things going on in this world. And this woman who carries herself as the uncrowned president of the United States doesn't really weigh in on a lot of those things, but it was like, got to talk about Barbie. It's really fucked up what happened to these two very rich white women. It's terrible. And I guess the thing I didn't like about it was like everyone had to, just the nature of the way the media works, everyone had to have a take on it. So like Ryan Gosling released a statement about it, and like it's like he's supposed to be ashamed that he got nominated. He's really good in the movie. I think Margot's really good too. Like, I want to be clear. If it was my choice, I would have nominated her. I wouldn't let her win over Lily, obviously, but I think she deserved the nomination. I thought she did very good work. And I think that the performance is not quite as showy and obvious. I think there's like some pretty cool stuff happening there. If it was me, I probably would have nominated her over Emma Stone for Poor Things, even though they're kind of playing in a similar wheelhouse. But I don't know, man. Like, it was weird to me that people had to talk about this like it was a fucking tragedy. And I don't know Margot Robbie or Greta. I don't know any of these fucking people, obviously, but I don't feel like that, like they themselves would be as angry and hurt by this. I mean, I would just guess. And I'm anticipating either one or both of them having to release a statement to like remind people to not be so weird, like kind of how the Daniels had to with Everything Everywhere All at Once last year. But the thing that's worse than that is that if they do release a statement like that, you'll see people being like, see, these women, they have to even hide their anger to placate people. Like, it's just going to be, you know, a vicious cycle of awful takes. And it's just really unfortunate. And I think the thing that's bumming me out about it is like, I really like this movie, and now all the discourse around this movie is just like making me, I mean, it doesn't change my feelings about the film, but it's like the narrative for the Oscar season now is going to be insufferable around this movie. And so much of the award season is not about what is the best movie. It's about what is the most prevailing narrative? What is the strongest case for this is the best whatever? That's kind of how it works. And if Barbies got to go into the courtroom with this gorgeous white woman and this super lauded filmmaker only got one nomination apiece, not two, that's a fucking weird underdog story, you know? God, their movie only made $1 billion. I think my favorite thing I saw was someone had the tweet. It was like someone saying, "Oh, Barbie didn't blah 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 blah," and it was just a screen grab of Don Draper on Mad Men being like, "That's what the money's for." Because I don't understand every time like Marvel people are mad about not getting the best reviews or whatever. Like, if you like a thing and that thing is grotesquely popular and financially successful, and that's not enough for you, you also have to be told you're the best and get the little fucking little ribbon on your sash or whatever. You're just being greedy at that point. Fucking let it go. It's a fun movie. People enjoyed it. It made a lot of people smile. That's good. That's a win. Who gives a fuck if it ever gets an Oscar? I don't care if that movie gets fucking shut out. My only desires for the Academy Awards this year, and I'm very happy that almost every year I care a little bit less about this stuff. That makes me feel pretty good. It's one of the only ways I'm positive that I'm maturing in any fashion. All I want is for Lily Gladstone to win Best Actress. That's a non-negotiable for me. And that's it. That's my only non-negotiable. Everything else, whatever. I don't care what wins Best Picture. All the movies, I've seen every movie nominated except Past Lives and Zone of Interest. And I like all those movies. I think Maestro is maybe my least favorite of them, but even that was watchable. It's fine. I would say that I don't want Bradley Cooper to win Best Actor, but I'll be really honest. I wouldn't be mad if he did, because it might be good, like just for the industry and just for like all of us, if he did just get the Oscar. Because if he loses after making this pick-me-ass piece of cinema, I shudder to think what he will do next as an actor. I like Bradley Cooper a lot. I'm a pretty big fan, actually. And I like when Bradley Cooper is like a background or supporting player in something. Bradley Cooper in Licorice Pizza. Bradley Cooper in his random Dungeons and Dragons cameo. Bradley Cooper in fucking War Dogs. Bradley Cooper in Joy. Like when he's just like got a small thing to do, he does the shit out of it. Fucking Bradley Cooper in all the Guardians movies. His Rocket Raccoon is incredible. His performance in Guardians 3, even though it's just like mocap and voice, leagues above his work in Maestro. It's not even a fucking competition as far as I'm concerned. If he is just given the award, like just as a gimme, he'll be sated and then he'll just do what he does, but he won't feel the need to beg for that anymore. I think that's important. Do you guys remember when Leonardo DiCaprio won for The Revenant? I fucking hate The Revenant. I think it's a dog shit movie, and it's probably like bottom tier Leo performance to me. After he got the Oscar for that, he got it out of his system, and he's just done really good stuff since. Every performance, even in something like Don't Look Up, which is not necessarily like a great movie, he's really good in that. He's a very good actor, and he does great work. And he was unburdened by feeling the need to win an Oscar. I'm afraid of what would have happened if he didn't win for The Revenant. I don't think we would have gotten Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and other stuff. I think he would have made something so much fucking worse, because that's what happens when people are thirsty, you know? So while I think that Cillian Murphy, and while I think that Paul Giamatti, Jeffrey Wright, I didn't see Rustin, but I like Coleman Domingo, so whatever. I think all of those men probably pretty deserving. But I think even they would maybe all get together and go, fuck it. Bradley's going to have a meltdown if he doesn't get this. Just give it to him. Like, just fucking... Like, if I'm Paul Giamatti and I get up there and it's me, I look at the thing and I go, oh no, you guys misread this. It says Bradley Cooper. Bradley, you really won. Come on up. And like, everyone just kind of gets together and goes, yeah, that was probably the right thing to do. That was really nice. That was really nice what you did. You saved this man's life. You saved our lives. He might turn into a fucking terrorist if he doesn't get it. So, otherwise, dude, like, the Oscars are the Oscars. You know, it's a thing that happens every year. Hollywood celebrating itself and each other and shit like that. It's all good, you know. I'll watch the telecast, but my For You page on TikTok did start showing me a lot of very dumb people's opinions about the Oscars, and I was like, this might be the first year that I just tune this shit out. I might just like have to, I don't know, like mute some key phrases or something on social media. Like, I just don't give a fuck. And that's pretty freeing, to be entirely honest. I actually have one other thing to talk about news-wise. And this happened right before I started getting ready to record. I watched the trailer for Doug Liman's Roadhouse remake that he's doing for MGM and Amazon. There's a lot of controversy around this. Doug Liman, who did Edge of Tomorrow, Go, Swingers, the original Born Identity. Doug's done a lot of stuff. Pretty talented filmmaker. Not like great, but he's pretty good. Doug won his remake, Roadhouse, don't know why. and they got Jake Gyllenhaal to play the Patrick Swayze part. Again, don't know why. And it's kind of, like a throwback action comedy vibe. I would like for people to not accost me in the comments or my private messages, but I've never seen Roadhouse. I will watch Roadhouse soon, I promise. I'll make it up, but I've never seen it. I know what happens in Roadhouse. I get the gist. But the trailer looks so fucking stupid, and I can't wait to see it. It looks like so much fun. I love that Jake Gyllenhaal has so much fun doing trashy movies. Like, he's such a talented actor. I still get mad about him not winning the Oscar for Nightcrawler that year, but he's so good, and he excels in movies he should not excel in. This looks like one of them. Like, he just has such a great presence. He's so entertaining. He's good. But the thing that made me want to finally see it, because I was like, the casting looks pretty good, except for Conor McGregor being in it. It looks weird. He looks terrible. There's a controversy about the fact that the movie's not coming out theatrically. Like, Amazon's just putting it on Prime. And I guess Lyman and Gyllenhaal went to Jeff Bezos' boat or something to make him watch the movie to convince him to release it theatrically. And he was like, no, it's really good. I'm still not doing it. And I think it's a mistake only that this is going to be a pretty dry year theatrically. There's not a lot of really big movies coming out this year. So it actually does have the chance to be successful. But I don't know how their business model works. They don't want to do that. I think it should come out in theaters, but at the same time, I'm like, if it doesn't, is that that big a fucking deal? Is it an injustice that the fucking remake of Roadhouse is on Prime? Who cares? But something that popped out to me when I watched the trailer is that the movie's screenplay is written by Charles Mondry and Anthony Bagrazzi, who are cohorts and proteges of Shane Black. Bagrazzi co-wrote The Nice Guys, and then he and Mondry, I think, both worked on the new Parker movie series, whatever, that Shane Black is doing with Robert Downey Jr. And the two, famously, to me anyway, also co-wrote Doc Savage with Shane Black, which was never made, but it's an unproduced screenplay of Shane Black's been trying to make a movie based on the pulp hero Doc Savage for a long time, and he wanted The Rock to be in it, and it's one of my favorite unproduced screenplays. I love it so much. It has such a unique, fun vibe, and at this point, I think The Rock's too old to do it, but that's going to be, to me, one of one of cinema's greatest what ifs. I think it would have been such a cool movie, and these guys helped make that happen, so I'm kind of excited. Yeah, that's all that's done. We're done with the news, I guess. Let's talk about what I watched. I had a really good night. I've mostly been rewatching stuff. I haven't watched very many new things. I'm still kind of playing catch up on some 2023 releases. I haven't done that. Hopefully by the end of the month, I'll man up and finish my best movies of the year list and stuff. I'll feel like I've seen enough. I sort of hate the end of the year stuff where you're I used to be this way about albums, where it's I haven't listened to enough albums to make a top 10. And it's who gives a shit? Just what albums did you like? Those are your albums of the year. Grow up. And I'm normal about that with music now. I accept that I only listen to a handful of things. But with movies, obviously, it's very hard. So I still feel I can't be done with it unless I know that this is good, So I still got some stuff to work through. However, when I was rewatching movies, I kept having these very specific movie cravings of I want to watch. A couple of nights ago, I rewatched American Gangster. That was a vibe. Or I rewatched Narc, the Joe Carnahan joint with Ray Liotta, R.I.P., and Jason Patric. But right before I watched Narc, I rewatched James Mangold's Copland, which might be one of the greatest movies ever made. I have not seen Copland since middle school, maybe? I don't know. It's been a long time. It's a perfect movie. It's a Western set in New Jersey. It's Sylvester Stallone's best performance. It's my favorite Ray Liotta performance. Pretty good De Niro work. Pretty good Keitel work. It's obscene, the cast for this movie. Just go look it up. The people in this movie, all in one fucking movie. It is an embarrassment of riches, and I just love it. It's such a good goddamn movie. It was such a good experience, man. Like, I always feel like I'm in danger of losing my love for movies or losing my love for anything positive in this world, really. But watching Copland was like church. I don't know how to describe it. I just felt like I felt so good that this movie exists. I felt so good that I can rewatch it like whenever I want. Like, I don't know how long I'm going to live on Earth, but as long as I'm on Earth, if I have a bad day, I can just watch Copland. And it's really comforting to me to know that, like, this incredible little movie is always there. And like, it's the best thing James Mangold's ever made. It's like just a cut above like Night and Day with Tom Cruise. Everything else of his that people love is like fine. Like Logan's fine. Like 310 to Yuma is fine. Whatever. Indiana Jones, the one that he did was like maybe not fine, but Copland, fucking remarkable. Such a good experience. If you've never seen Copland, I would really urge you to like drop whatever else is important in your week and make space to watch Copland. I think it's on Paramount Plus. It might be on Max. I can't remember. It's one of the two, but it's on there and it's fucking great. It's like one of the best cop movies ever made. It's one of the best Westerns ever made. One of the best crime fiction movies. The list goes on. What a picture. What a movie. Please watch Copland. I don't even have anything particularly coherent or moving to say about it. I hope that you can hear the reverence in my voice and know that Copland is like must fucking see. I watched a handful of other movies and rewatched the movies, but the two biggest things that I did while I was on hiatus is I binged 2 shows, and they're 2 shows I would otherwise never watch. And the first one is I watched both seasons of The Curious Case of Natalia Grace, which is like kind of a trashy documentary thing. It's pretty reality show adjacent, I guess. My buddy Cody texted me when I was working. I was like closing or something, and he was like, "Hey, I'm watching this show on HBO Max." He's like, "You gotta watch at least the first 5 minutes. Don't look anything up." He was like, "Don't fucking Google anything. Just watch it cold, please. If you don't have time to watch it, just watch the opening 5 minutes, please." And I was like, "All right." I got home at like 12 something, midnight-ish, and I was like, "All right, I'll watch this first 5 minutes. I'll understand the memes that I think Cody's gonna want to send me. I'll have the context. This will be funny and cool, whatever." I watched the first 5 minutes of this fucking show, and I was like, "Cody, what the fuck is this?" I thought it might be like a mockumentary or like it was a fake staged thing, and that like he didn't want me to look it up because I would find out that this is like actually like a high level comedy, or that this was like, you know, like Nathan Fielder worked on this or something. There had to be some kind of setup. It was so absurd. So I was like, well, fuck it. I'll at least watch the whole first episode. It's midnight. I had to work the next day. I didn't go to sleep until 4:30 or like 5. I stayed up till dawn. I watched the whole show, the whole first season anyway. I couldn't turn it off. And I not only did I watch it, I was like texting him my live commentary. Because he was ahead of me. You know, he'd already seen the whole thing. And it was just, what the fuck. If you're not familiar with The Curious Case of Natalia Grace, all I can really tell you is it's about a real thing that happened where this married couple had adopted a young woman from the Ukraine, and they think that she's not really 6 years old. They think that it's like the movie Orphan, that she's like an adult pretending to be a 6-year-old. That is not. There's a lot of twists and turns in this one. I'm not going to get into it, but I watched it for the first few episodes because it was so trashy. Kind of gave me like Tiger King vibes, like a shitty exploitative thing that you're watching and you're like, this is wild. But the longer it went on, the more angry it made me. And I don't think I've ever been this angry watching something in like a while. It tapped into like this profound amount of rage that I guess I like to pretend I don't possess. And I've never wanted to see bad things happen to people this badly before. Like some of the people in this documentary and the things they're responsible for, it just made me, I was like sick to my stomach. It was like Cody and I were essentially ready to form like an Inglourious Bastard style posse to like hunt these people down. It was just, it's an insane show. And then I watched the second season like the next day, and it was like worse somehow, because it's like kind of told from the girl's perspective, and you find out even more horrible stuff. But it didn't also make me sick to my stomach that you can tell the people producing the show are really trying to like milk this story for like gain, and like really kind of not trying to get her justice and stuff. And that made me sick to my stomach too. I was like, now we gotta go hunt down the producers of the show, dude. For legal reasons, that's a joke. But it's both very entertaining and very like addictive to watch. But then it's one of those things where like you start really going, well, if this is really, really real, I feel sick that I'm watching this. I actually feel gross that I'm even a part of something this exploitative. But real rough show. Then a little bit later, unrelated to this, I watched another show that I cannot believe I watched and loved, which is I kept seeing people sharing like clips and screen grabs from Ted, the television prequel to Ted, the Seth MacFarlane movie about Mark Wahlberg and his best friend, a teddy bear that was brought to life, voiced by Seth MacFarlane with basically Peter Griffin's voice. And I'd seen Ted. I'd never seen Ted 2 at the time, but I was like, the clips look surprisingly funny. And I put the first episode on and I fell in love. I'm totally Ted pilled. It is such a fun show. It's so fucking stupid. It's basically, Ted the movie, Mark Wahlberg's like just this do-nothing, pot-smoking loser in his like 30s in Boston or wherever the fuck they are in Massachusetts. And his childhood best friend is this teddy bear that he brought to life with a wish. And now the teddy bear's in his 30s, and sounds like Peter Griffin, and they drink beer and they smoke weed and they look at broads. And that movie's like fun. It's a pretty fun movie. It's a pretty fun R-rated comedy. It made apparently like $500 million when it came out. The television show is set in the 90s, and it's like John, the Mark Wahlberg character, it's him in high school, and Ted is still Ted. And it's structured like a sitcom, like a 80s, 90s sitcom. But it's on Peacock, and it's rated R, so they get to curse and stuff. And it's like an hour-long show. So it's like the energy and structure kind of a sitcom, but it takes like 45 minutes. So there's a lot of like indulgence. There's a lot of like Family Guy-esque non sequitur humor and stuff. The thing, I remember when Family Guy first came out, maybe not first, but maybe a few seasons into the show, there was an interview with MacFarlane or some of the writers or something, and they were saying that something that's very hard about Family Guy is the structure of the show burns through ideas faster than most shows. And if you watch a lot of Family Guy, I haven't watched any new ones in who knows how long, but when the first show first came out, most episodes of Family Guy start off with like a premise, and then there's a turn, and then it goes into a different episode essentially. And then the third act goes in a different direction. So every episode of Family Guy is like 3 episodes of a show. That's just like, they like doing the kind of like multiple swerve thing. Like, oh, you think it's about this, but it's really about this. Now it's about this. So this show has a similar structure, but it's over an even longer show. So it's like there's even more twists kind of. And it's like 7 episodes. The last 2 were like, okay. There's one episode that I think is a little too ambitious for its own good and tries to do something like heavy about like discrimination and stuff. And it's a bit much. I don't think it really works. But the first episode is really funny. They have a Halloween episode that's really funny. I just loved it. I haven't watched something like stupid and funny in a while. I like having fun, but I don't have a lot of fun. And the 2 things I'm the most moved by in Ted is that even though it's a prequel to Ted the movie, and we know that John and Ted end up being like loser hooligans, the show is very sweet-natured, and almost every episode is about John and Ted trying to do good. And John's cousin, played by Shea Wiggum's daughter, I don't remember her real name, I'm sorry, but Shea Wiggum's her dad. Like, she's different than like the rest of their like trashy family. and she sees potential in John to grow up and sort of break this generational curse. So every episode has some kind of moment where like they do something good and like they really grow and it's really sweet and nice. And she's like, see, this is why I believe in you guys. But the whole time you know that John's going to turn to Mark Wahlberg someday, you know, like it's kind of fucked up. And it makes it kind of sad. Like this weird bittersweet thing where I'm like, how are we going to work around this? How are we going to, like, they got to do another season that involves time travel or something. They have to make it that John grows up to be someone who's not Mark Wahlberg. I don't care who they cast, someone wholesome. But it's a really fun show. I happen to like Seth MacFarlane's very weird sense of humor. Like some of the things that he finds funny are very like stupid. And sometimes they're like very smart and sometimes they're very touching and sometimes they're very offensive. It's a weird brand of humor. But I really dug it. And also like the CG work on Ted himself and like the mocap stuff MacFarlane does and like just his physicality is really interesting and kind of impressive. Like it sounds like MacFarlane didn't want to do this, and then Universal was like, we really want you to make a Ted show. And he was like, you guys will never give us the money to make it well. Why would I do it? And then when he saw that they were willing to spend the money, he was like, fuck it, let's just see. No one's ever done a show in like the comedy space on television like this where one of the characters is entirely CG. This is gonna be pretty, groundbreaking, and it kind of is, and it's pretty cool. So I did afterwards rewatch Ted. I've rewatched Ted, then I watched Ted 2 for the first time. And like Ted 2 has some like really funny parts, but it's also like really not good. Like there's parts of it that are really entertaining, but some of it, the movie's so much, I forgot how like early 2000s, mid 2000s, late 90s kind of like, I'm not one of those people who's like, oh, this comedy, it's like it's not PC. It's like not woke enough for modern audiences. Like you watch something old and you know that it was like a different time and stuff. Like I can still enjoy the parts I like, But something about Ted 2 just feels very mean-spirited compared to the first film, and certainly compared to like Ted the show. So I don't know. I'm not someone who's like, oh, I didn't like that this person was like a bigot or whatever. Like they have those in real life. I'm not mad that they existed, But something about it, I just didn't like the tone. I didn't like the taste of it. Kind of made me sick a little bit. The only thing I really watched, I've only seen the first episode. I haven't watched the second one yet, but the new season of True Detective. I was pretty stoked for this because I think Barry Jenkins is one of the producers. Then I realized he's like not writing or directing anything on the show. He's just a producer. And it's this woman, I think her name's Issa Lopez, who's like writing and directing the show. I've never seen, she's made a couple of movies, I haven't seen them. Jodie Foster is the lead. There's this like smoking hot native woman who's like the co-lead. I don't remember her name. I didn't write it down. I'm stupid. I liked season 1 of True Detective, as we all did. It's a very important show. Season 2, some of us hated it first, but it's pretty underrated, I think. I think season 3 might be the best season of the show, and like no one talks about it. Like no one was really paying attention by the time it came out. So I was open to this being good. It's the first Nick Pizzolatto-less season. But I'm digging. I haven't watched the second episode yet, but I dug the first episode. I liked the vibe. I liked the energy. I liked Jodie Foster a lot. I think all the actors in the show so far are really, really good. But like the show leans a little bit too far, I think, into like the supernatural stuff that the other seasons would hint at. But then whenever they would gradually reveal that there is no genuine supernatural element, whatever real dramatic stand-in for the supernatural things was still satisfying in some way. Particularly with like season 3 does a really good job of taking stuff that feels ethereal and you're like, no, this is just rooted in trauma. But yeah, it's going in a different direction. My thing that killed me about this show is I liked the first episode. I talked to friends about it where some of us liked it, some of us didn't. It was like, okay, we'll see where this goes. We'll see where this goes, But like the day after the fucking show aired, there was this whole thing online about, oh, the show's getting review bombed by evil bros who are mad that it's not season 1. And the show had like a fucking 96 or something, or some high number on its critic score on Rotten Tomatoes. And then the audience score was also relatively high. It wasn't like fresh or whatever, but it was like not low. And I think I had to go through 2 or 3 pages of audience reviews to find one that was like, ew, women, why'd they make the show woke? Most of the reviews were just, I kind of like it, but there's problems with it. It was like they were surprisingly measured fair-minded reactions to the show, I thought. But the director was like really hyping it up on Twitter and kind of like in an interview about like, yeah, you know, like if you like the show, please go review it and stuff. It's like, ma'am, your show has been on the fucking air for like less than 24 hours. I don't think you need to take the Disney approach and imply that your show is being like beset upon by a siege of anti-woke bros or whatever. It was very weird. And I'm sure there are probably like bros that like season 1 and never watched the other 2 and are mad that there's women in it. I'm not saying that doesn't exist, but it was nowhere near widespread enough for it to be such a prevalent narrative that fast. And it felt very weird. And like since then, I've seen her on Twitter a lot. And like, you know what? I'm not saying she's not allowed to talk about her show and promote it, but almost everyone that is that online about something they make, they just become insufferable. It's like, you don't even want to kind of let this shit breathe for itself. You have to be on here tweeting at people. It just feels very, very weird to me, because it's not even like we're making something that's super independent of this and we're going in our own direction, which I would be cool with. It's like we're sort of also laying groundwork to reference stuff from the first season, to like preemptively apologize for the fact that we're going in a different direction. Everything about it is weird. I don't know how I feel about it. I'm going to keep watching it because there's nothing else on the air right now that I really care about. And I like cop shows in general. And again, I think Jodie Foster is doing a really good job on the show. Like I dig the music, I dig the tone, I dig the look, all this stuff for the most part. But it's like, I just remember thinking that is a huge red flag. Like you're already falling onto the sort of Marvel's discourse of like, oh, it's just people hate it because I'm a woman and there's women in it. And it's like, I'm not going to discount that exists, but it seems really weird to like imply that all criticism of the show is like that. It's only because of this or that. When the second season of the show, which was, you know, still done by Nick Pizzolatto, this like bro-y screenwriter guy, novelist person, also got fucking ripped to shreds. And it wasn't because they added Rachel McAdams. It was because the show had issues. You know, so I just thought that was very odd. And it's something I'm kind of tired of seeing in media, of like, it's like a way to shield yourself from criticism, to just be like, it's all just because of X, you know? And obviously sometimes that stuff is real. Like there were a lot of people that hated The Little Mermaid because they made her black. That exists. Racism exists. But there were, you know, it's also not a very good movie, independent of that, you know? And it's unfortunate that you have to like always talk about stuff like that on a curve. You have to like go out of your way to be like, look, I would have voted for a black mermaid 3 times if I could, but you know, this movie, I had some issues with it. It's just kind of exhausting to me. I'm just not a big fan of any of that. But yeah, I'll keep watching the show. If you guys have seen it, let me know your thoughts on the show. I want to watch, maybe when I'm done recording, if I have time, I might watch this week's episode, or maybe I'll wait till this weekend and watch the other new one back to back. I don't know yet. I don't know if I'm really in the mood, but I hope it gets better, or I hope it stays. I don't know. We'll see what happens. All right. We got time for a few questions. Okay, so sorry. My entire setup for this is like not ideal, so I apologize that like, you know, thank you for rocking with me through this makeshift season premiere. You know, like a show gets a new season and they get a higher budget and they get more guest stars and everything gets like better. Like season 2 of The Bear, they're like, hey, let's get fucking Bob Odenkirk on the show and all this cool stuff. Second season of your favorite film pod is not like that. I think we have less stuff. No Bob Odenkirk. You know what? I might just fucking pick up the mic. I might just do that. Okay. Okay. First question. My good friend Luke, huge friend of the channel. Luke says, what is the most popular movie you can think of that is poorly written? This question is inspired by me watching the Jeff Loeb classic Teen Wolf. Okay, that's funny. It always makes me laugh that Jeff Loeb wrote Teen Wolf, because like when I was a kid, all of the comics Jeff Loeb did with Tim Sale, so Batman The Long Halloween, Dark Victory, Superman for All Seasons, Daredevil Yellow, Spider-Man Blue, huge fan of all those things. And then like he did Hush, which was hugely successful when I was a kid, or a teenager, I guess by that point. but like it's one of the worst things he's ever actually written, and then everything after that is terrible. It's like, are you only good when Tim Sale's in the room? But anyway, a movie, most popular movie that I think is poorly written. This is a weird question because I think a lot of popular movies are pretty poorly written. A lot of movies blow up or get very successful despite being shitty. Like that's pretty common, I think. A lot of the movies that are, to me, the most egregious offenders of having bad scripts are really bad. So like, I think it's very common for a movie to have a lot of things that are wrong and still function if it has a good script or like an underlying decent thing. And then I think there are very few movies that are even watchable if their scripts are bad. This is a hard question, actually. Now that I'm thinking about it, like, you know what? I'm gonna fucking do it. I don't want to get into this on the pod, but I wrote a review of the movie Origin, the new Ava DuVernay film, and it's not going to be out until the next issue of the Baltimore Beat, so keep a lookout for it, I guess. But the movie is very frustrating. I mean, I can't even call this popular because it's not a very successful film right now, and it's not the awards darling I think they thought it was going to be. But it's a movie that has some really beautiful imagery, some strong performances, some, pretty good ideas and stuff. And when the movie is kind of formless and ethereal and just kind of like a sort of like a tone poem or something, like it's actually, I get it. I'm like, I kind of like this. I see where they're going. Other parts of the movie are kind of like a documentary. And then other parts of the movie are like the most insulting, on the nose, kind of like melodrama possible. And I can't remember the last time I saw a movie that moved me to this degree, where there are parts I was very moved by, and then other parts where I was like, what the fuck is this? What are we fucking doing here? What's going on? And I think a lot of it is the script. And I think Richard Brody from The New Yorker maybe called it one of the most like ambitious or original scripts he's ever seen. And I'm not going to take ambition away from it, but it's so all over the place and it doesn't quite work. And it's weird watching a movie that cares more about making a statement or like pitching an idea to you than it does the emotional stuff. And then the core idea that it's pitching to you, like it doesn't successfully pitch to you. It's like, you wasted this much of my time trying to convince me of something and preach to me, and you didn't even really effectively do that. So I have a lot of feelings about that movie. I might talk about it some more later, but that's in recent memory one of the I think worst written things I've seen that is otherwise like well lauded and mostly liked and stuff, or even that I kind of liked. I don't know if that answers it, Luke, but that's the best I got right now. Hope you're doing well, buddy. But yeah, I don't know if it'll be out by the time this comes out, but I did record a podcast with my homie Mirjani, and we talked about end of the year list. We talked about Oscar stuff. And we talked about Origin quite a bit before I watched it, because he'd seen it, he'd seen it a couple times, and had some feelings about it. And we have a pretty cool conversation about it and some other movies. So if that's out, when this is out, I'll link to it. And if not, just keep an eye on my socials for it. It was a really fun conversation. Mirjani's a really great guy. Next question. J.M. Motore. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing your name right, dude, but J.M.'s a really cool guy. He's a really good writer. We used to write for one of the same sites. He has a question. Since you seem about as obsessed with crime, dramas, and police procedurals as I am, what do you think about Joe Pennell and David Fincher's Mindhunter? Oh, okay. Should Fincher drop everything he's doing and get to work on a revival? With all due respect, Fincher's one of the GOATs, but in my opinion, his post-Gone Girl films have paled in comparison to the Ford and Tench mysteries. Should David F. just accept that he's more suited to television than cinema? I don't agree with that. I understand. Look, man, a lot of people didn't fucking like Mank, apparently. People did not fuck with Mank. I understand that. I don't want to rewatch it because I don't want to like have it ruined for me. I liked it a lot when I saw it, but I feel like I won't if I watch it again. But I like Fincher working on television. I think that like the beginning of House of Cards is really good. And I think that that's one of the few shows where a very heavily stylized filmmaker directs the pilot and then hired a bunch of directors who could kind of keep that visual language going. A lot of shows can't. And I guess, Mindhunter is very similar. Like, they only had people on who could kind of match the look he had gone for. I like the show a lot, but every time he's asked about it, he makes it seem like he doesn't even fucking want to. And I really feel like if he did get another season, I don't think it would be as good. I genuinely feel like his heart wouldn't be in it. And like, at first it sounded like, well, he wants to, but it's not financially viable. But the last time someone asked him on like the Killer press tour, and I thought the Killer ruled, by the way, he just seemed kind of like, look, this is over, let it go. So I wouldn't want it to happen. I don't know that I want it to happen, to be honest, but it's a very good show. I think season 1's great. I liked season 2 quite a bit. I don't know that I'm dying for a third one, for real. Honestly, I thought it was good, but I'm not. I feel like when I was younger, I was much more on the, I can't believe this is over, I want more. But like, now that I'm older, I don't care. If there's a good season of a show and it's over, I'm like, that's fine. It's over before it got shitty. I've seen enough shows get shitty that I'm fine with something ending too early. But I get why people want more of this. And he just re-upped his deal with Netflix, so maybe he will do something else in the television realm. I'd be down to see that. I think he's good at the medium, but I hope he doesn't give up movies. I want more Fincher movies. Maybe he'll go back to doing more music videos. That would be rad. Good question. Thanks, man. All right. You know what I just realized? Sorry. I'm doing the dickheaded thing where I'm like holding the mic, which I should not be doing. And I 1,000% was just like out of the green screen area. So you probably didn't even see my face for half of that. Okay. Born Hitman asks, who is an artist you would like to see do a Bond theme in the future? This is great. This is a very important question to me. I love Bond movies. I love Bond themes. There is only one answer. That answer is, and I might have talked about this last time I talked about Bond on the podcast, so I apologize for repeating myself. However, I need Alex Turner of the Arctic Monkeys and the Last Shadow Puppets to do a Bond theme. There's like 13 songs across both of those acts, respective overs, that like are destined to be Bond themes. The entire first Last Shadow Puppets album with Miles Kane, Age of the Understatement, the whole fucking thing sounds like Bond music. It's crazy to me that like they've never asked them to do it. I think he would do such an amazing job. Even if it was like just him and like maybe they brought in like James Ford or someone to help him produce it or whatever, I would kill for an Alex Turner penned Bond theme with the Monkeys, with Miles, whoever. I think he would just kill it. I need that. I'm actually very bummed that we had The Car last year, like the new Arctic Monkeys album. I love that album. And after a month or two of enjoying it, I got very sad because I was like, fuck. You know, you like a band, but they reach the cadence where you're not going to get a new one for 4 or 5 years. It's the fucking worst. You're like, damn it. Some artists work fast enough to where they get another one right away. This was like, no, I'm probably going to wait another 4 or 5 years for this. I wanted to cry. Maybe within those 4 or 5 years, there'll be a Bond movie and he'll do that. Thank you, guy. Good question. Okay. Okay. Final question from my homie Kyle. Kyle asks, question for the return episode. Could you dish a little bit on screener season and for your consideration campaign time? What is the coolest package you've gotten? What was the most egregiously pick-me one? Has the way studios handled this evolved over your time as a critic? Like links versus physical media and stuff. Okay, so I have to sadly acknowledge to everyone that this is my first year since 2018, I want to say, where I did not actually get screeners and stuff. I am no longer in the DC Film Critics Guild, so this is my first year not getting them. I got like invites to screenings for free consideration stuff, and there are some digital links I still got. So like, even though I'm not in the thing anymore, like I'm still on lists for stuff. So I did get things this year. Like some things would, certain studios would send me stuff or whatever, but I didn't get anything in the mail. And like at first I thought I was going to be really bummed out about it, but all the movies I really wanted to see early, like usually every year there's a handful of movies I am dying to see like in November, even though they're probably not going to get theatrical release until the end of December, early January. And this year I actually was able to see all of them. Almost every movie I wanted to see, there were screenings for, and I had time to go to them and I went to them. So, I was not as sad as I thought I might be this year. Like I do kind of miss coming home and having mail and there's just like a giant coffee table book or something, you know what I mean, for free. But I didn't care that much. But I will say the first year I think I had it was like 2018. It was a little bit weird because at the time I was renting a room from like in a group house with a friend of mine and some other people. And he also liked movies a lot. So like it was kind of, he would text me like, hey, this just came in. Are you going to watch this tonight? Can I watch it? I'd be like, yeah, dude, I don't care. Or like I would give to friends and stuff like that. Like, you know, generous guy. You're not supposed to do that, obviously. Most of those discs too even tell you like, when you're done, burn this. Like you're not supposed to keep them. I have tons of old screeners. Some I've sent to friends or mailed to them and stuff like that. But some I have, they're still sitting around. The thing that's fun about for your consideration season is that I do believe that there's been less physical stuff every year, but there are certain people that always spend big on this shit. Netflix, for one thing. Most of the time, Netflix will send you like a bunch of fucking stuff. They'll send you the score. They'll send you a copy of the movie. They'll send you t-shirts. They'll send you coffee table books, stuff like that. I remember I got like a fucking bottle of wine, I think, with something once. I don't drink anymore, so that was kind of pointless. The thing I will just say is like anything you get that is in any way extravagant makes you not want to watch the movie that fast. Because you're like, you gave me a book and this and this and this and this. You're trying too hard. Very rarely have I gotten a really great package for something that ended up being a movie I really liked. Usually just look and you're like, I see what you're doing. One thing that's a little bit annoying is that I feel like Netflix is more giving with physical media than any studio. And in most cases, it's like, why are you sending me a movie from March? It's on Netflix. I have that, you know? I get sending stuff that isn't out yet. That makes sense. But they don't really do that. Like they tend to send you the for your consideration stuff closer to when it actually hits Netflix. So it's not even like you're getting it early necessarily. Sometimes you do, but like not a lot. And I just remember thinking like, why the fuck are you sending me this random documentary that's been on the fucking service for almost a year? Why wouldn't you just send me an email reminding me to watch it there? You know, why waste the money? But it's Netflix. They got it to burn, I guess. Or do they? So that was like not ideal. But some studios send you like kind of nice stuff. Some studios will send you like Blu-rays instead of DVDs, which is cool. Some will send you like, my favorite thing is certain studios will just send you, if it's not a brand new movie, they'll just send you like a retail copy of the thing. Like, here, this is out, here it is. And it always comes in like whatever the shittiest version of that release is, like the type of version that looks like it's destined to be the $5 bin at Walmart. But I have a thing where it's like, anytime I'm being given something, I always feel like it's like a cheat. Like, this is not for your consideration, but I remember when I first saw Den of Thieves, which I famously was not a fan of when I first watched it. I thought it was really stupid and overrated. And then later I kind of grew to love it. But when I first went to go see it, I think with my friend Dewey. Dewey, if you're listening to this, remind me if you came to me with this movie. I think you were with me. And I got there and someone from the PR firm was giving out like tickets or something where it was like, we're going to raffle off what was it? Like an Apple Watch or something? They were going to raffle off like an Apple Watch or an iPad or something. And I was like, they're giving away a fucking Apple Watch at this fucking screening? This movie's going to be shit. Like they don't give away stuff at like fucking good movies. You don't get to like a real good movie screening and they're like, do you guys want pie? You know, like that doesn't happen. So that kind of braces you to be like, this is going to be some shit. But my favorite thing that I've forgotten is every year, almost every year that I was a critic, Neon would send you this like book of all of their movies. It would be one thing. It was bound like a book and you would turn it and every page would be this kind of hard cardstock with discs in it. It was always coolly well designed. It was really neat. And I loved it. And then the last year, so I didn't get them this year, but I got the one last year. It wasn't a book anymore. It was like a little slipcase with a bunch of little DVDs in it. And I was still grateful to get them. I'm not trying to complain, but the book thing was so cool. Like it ended up making me want to watch movies that were not high on my list. Not like they gave me a gift and that made me enticed me. It was more like there were movies that Neon released that I liked and then that I'd already seen. And then it made me go, I should just check out the other ones. I mean, fuck it. They all look cool. They're well presented. I thought for a time there that Neon was doing A24, but better than A24, because I feel like A24, you always think you're going to get something really cool from them. And I never did. I always just got, discs. I do know that like different rungs of critics get different things. Like if you're like in CCA, I think they actually give you like nicer things. Like there was something I got from Netflix for Glass Onion. That was out too. And it was like, I got like a hat and something else. But then I think other people got like the kombucha, like the Ed Norton made and stuff like that. Like, there's like different levels to this shit, I guess. But yeah, I've always liked the Neon boxes. Those always were really cool. I have a handful of like coffee table books, like really big, heavy. I have one for like The Irishman. I have one for Roma. Netflix just throws money into this shit for real. And those are nice. Like they look like if you had to buy them, they would cost a lot of money. So that's kind of cool, even though I don't think I've ever opened any of them. But sometimes like if a movie is based on a book, they'll send you a copy of the book and it'll be one of those like kind of flimsy paperbacks with the movie posters, the cover. Those are kind of cool. Sometimes you'll get, I think my favorite thing about the For Your Consideration season is that sometimes you'll get them for movies and you're like, really? You guys think you're going to get something for this? Like you actually spent money on this campaign? Like I remember being a kid and there was a lot of joking about, I think Matthew Lillard had like a For Your Consideration campaign for Best Actor for like Scooby-Doo or something. And there was like a billboard maybe. And, that still happens. Sometimes people will be campaigning for stuff where you're like, are you delusional? That's not going to happen. And it almost makes you kind of admire their moxie. You're like, oh, okay. I like where your head's at. You're not going to get it, but good work. But it's fun. I don't know. Like it's cool getting stuff like that. Like it's cool. I'll explain. I guess this is maybe my favorite thing about trying to explain what screener season is like. There will be every season movies you're looking forward to. You never know when they're coming. You don't know, like other critics will text each other and stuff and be like, hey, did you get this yet? Oh, I got that, but I didn't get this. And like, you all get them at different times. It's a free for all. But sometimes you will see the little like USPS notification thing. You'll see like what studio it's supposed to be in the reference. And you're thinking like, yeah. And then you'll get home and that studio has sent you every movie they have except the one you wanted. Or they'll only send one movie. It's the worst movie they had that year, and you'll get the other ones later. But like you'll be at work, and then like you're thinking, oh, I want to get home. I can't wait. And then like I would pull the stuff out of the mailbox, and then I would be opening them in the elevator on the way upstairs, and I'm just like, oh fuck. And you have whole days where they send you like you'll get 4 or 5 things, and it's nothing you want to watch. And then the ones you do want to watch will all come in at once, and it'll be when you're busy. Like it's kind of annoying. My favorite. I guess this is like maybe the last illuminating thing I can share about this. My first year as a screener guy, I think, might have been my second year. I went to one of the things I like around For Your Consideration season is not just the screeners, but they will host screenings of movies early, so you can see them the right way. And a lot of times the local PR firms will schedule them like back to back to back, so you can just go all day at a theater and catch up on these movies. And they usually schedule more and more of them leading up to the deadline for guild voting, for like the local critics association awards and stuff. And I think the most fun day I ever had, not fun, but it was a good day, I guess. I saw If Beale Street Could Talk, Vice, and a movie called Destroyer all in the same day, I think. Destroyer was a Karen Kusama like cop movie. It basically feels like a fake season of True Detective that only takes 2 hours. Nicole Kidman's in it. They made her like Eileen Wuornos ugly for some reason. It doesn't really affect the plot, but I think she thought she was going to get an award for it, but for looking gruff. It's a pretty good movie. It's nothing special. But I think that was the second screening of the day. I want to say it was like Beale Street, then that, then Vice, I think. I don't remember. I'll check Letterboxd. And I remember hearing a critic, I don't know who it was, so I apologize for telling her story out of turn, but she was a couple of rows behind me, and she was like, I heard her go, fuck, and someone was like, what's wrong? and she had just gotten like the ring notification of her for something that was delivered, and they had just sent her a copy of Destroyer. Like, it had gotten there 5 minutes before the movie started. And she did not want to come to the screening. A lot of critics don't live in DC proper, and they would have to drive into the city and then have to pay for parking. So she had to pay for parking to this theater that none of us really liked going to. It doesn't even exist anymore, but it used to. They used to have a lot of screenings. It's kind of a shitty theater in Friendship Heights. And she was like, I can't fucking believe this. Like, if she had just literally been running late for the screening and missed it, she would have been covered. She would have been fine. I don't think she needed to see the two movies. So it was a whole thing. And then I remember later that day, her in like the Facebook group that the Critics Association has, saying that like her car got hit in the garage. Like, so she didn't like the fucking movie. She hated Destroyer. And then when she got to the parking garage, her car had been fucked up while she watched this movie she hated, that she could have watched from home if it had been delivered one day earlier. You know, that's screener season. Is you try to make time to see everything you're supposed to see, and et cetera, and like shit like that happens to you. I actually thought it was a nice movie, but yeah, that's basically it. Honestly, honest to God, it's nice having the discs and stuff, but it's like studios will send you like DVD stuff, so the quality is not great. And then I could send you a Blu-ray. Like, after all, I didn't have a Blu-ray player. But I feel like during screener season, you get so many movies. Sometimes you're just trying to watch them as many of them as you can, and you're not really paying attention to them the way you should. I think my sort of the end of screener season for me was last year when I still got them, or the 2022 or whatever. I got one for White Noise, the Noah Baumbach movie. They gave me like a sweatshirt with it and something else. And I really wanted to see that movie. I love Noah Baumbach. And I barely remember that movie. Like, it wasn't a very special watching experience. I wasn't that into it. I didn't really give it as much of my time and attention as I would have if I'd seen it in the theater. And that kind of made me really realize, like, I actually just prefer going to screenings for these things. So anytime I can, I just go see it. If they have a thing, even if it's like on a night I don't want to go or whatever, I usually just make the effort because it ends up being a better experience. So yeah. Okay, cool. That's screener season. Thanks, Kyle. It's a good question. Thanks, bro. Okay, I think that's the episode. I hope this ends up looking okay. I hope the audio is not too fucked up. I apologize that this is such a makeshift. I wish I could just show you guys what my room looks like right now. Like, there's like a TV here. It's not even like it is not even hanging on the desk properly. Like, it's a precariously placed television, not smart on me. Lighting is not proper. Everything's, I don't know. We'll see how it turns out. Thank you guys for being patient. Thank you guys for being patient with the hiatus and being patient with this. I missed you guys. I assure you episode 2 of season 2 will be a little bit better, hopefully. If you are watching this on YouTube and you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. If you loved it, you should subscribe, and you'll get more videos of this in the future, both the podcast and, regular reviews and stuff we'll be getting back to soon. I've been saying that for 3 months, but we really will. And if you have any questions or comments, you can put them in the comment section, especially if it's questions for future episodes. You can put those in the comment section. You can hit me up on Twitter, Instagram, anywhere. You can email me, armchairauteur@gmail.com. And if you're listening to this wherever you like to listen to your podcasts, then you can just share it with people. Leave me a review on whatever podcast platform of your choice. Tell your friends about me in the show and stuff. You know how it goes. So, yeah, thank you again. I've missed you guys. I'm glad I'm back. I hope you're glad I'm back. And we'll talk soon.